Welcome to the Raising Excellence show.
Experience.
Our host is a little distracted, and this is why he's not welcoming you all. And yeah, I wasn't sure what was going on there. Are you still the MC, or do you want me to do it today?
Yeah, I do it. I just didn't see the signal. You want? Good
I think
afternoon.
that was the
Good
signal.
morning, everyone. Sorry, wherever you are in the world. This is Michael, and I'm here as the MC and Opportunity Ambassador for today's show, which is entitled Homegrown Solutions for a Better World. And with me today are my favorite two co-hosts, Agnieszka, our illuminator. Sorry.
I have to change things all the time just to keep it spicy. Yes, thank you. Nice to see everyone.
And our freedom facilitator that's a little bit under the weather today, Dennis.
Greetings and blessed love, everybody.
And it's wonderful that he's here because without him, there would be no show. So thank you.
Thank you for the co-creation of today's moment.
It out. Yeah. Okay, so we're talking about homegrown solutions, and Dennis, this is kind of your topic. So tell us a little bit more about what you've got in mind in regard to this topic.
Sure. So I was observing myself and my surrounding, and one of the things that I see going on lately, or maybe it was going on from before as well, but it just seems to come out to the light more, at least from my point of view, is that people are coming out with creative solutions to the problems that we're facing right now on different levels. And as I enjoy looking at things holistically from different angles and from all levels of being, I can perceive, and I actually do enjoy engaging also with people who are having an alternative view at what is going on, and who also are attempting to find an angle on how to work with it, not falling into it, falling for it, but actually to going with the flow of the times and to see the opportunities that the challenges that we're facing right now are actually bringing along. And so I feel, as we usually start to talk about the problems and that we're facing, that the actual challenge, or one of the biggest challenges that we have right now is, and we touched upon that on Monday, is that we seem to depend on centralized systems, on a mindset that is not based in truth and in seeking that which we truly are, and in connecting to to truth, if you want to use that word for it. But we're being distracted and we're being made dependent, and also as stepping into responsibility, we're also giving away our freedom, our independency, and so that is being reflected in what we're facing globally, but also in our individuality. And I do enjoy to connect with those that seem to pick up on that, and that come up with creative solutions, and to overcome the status quo, and to actually see the opportunity within the challenge. And so that was kind of like that is what I was perceiving, and I thought it would be helpful maybe for others as well to share what their ways of dealing with the situation is, but then also maybe to pick up a few hints, some down-to-earth techniques and strategies that can be that can be easily done for yourself in your in your own home, in your life, but also something that would inspire you, how to interact, how to deal with other people also that you might feel drawn to or that appear in your life in these times, because I feel that all of that has meaning. And yeah, so if you don't believe in or if you don't accept things to happen coincidentally, then you're actually starting to look for meaning, and you start to look for a higher purpose of, the person that appears or that sits beside you in the bus, or the message that you see um, on a billboard. So I think I would like to see this show as an inspiration in that kind of way. And yeah, so that was the starting point of today's show.
That
And
was like a full 10-minute speech.
yes, where are we going to take it from here? What do you guys think?
Well, I don't know. I had something to say, but it was like 8 minutes ago, so I don't really know what
You're not making notes?
I
Well,
should.
tell me about the challenges. Tell me about the challenges that you see of our times for you personally. If you have any examples right there, and then also maybe for the community you're in, or the community that you left. Agnieszka, you left, the place that you have been residing in for many years. And then Mike, you have been living in a place for quite a few years, and because the role that you're playing and the interactions that you have with so many people from all walks of life certainly give you an interesting perspective also on how people facing those challenges and how they perceive the challenges, because maybe in the end it's actually just one bigger challenge, but we perceive it, we perceive different nuances of, and maybe are not able to sometimes look through those, the superficial appearance of the actual challenge that we're facing right now.
Go ahead, Agnieszka. I'll wait for you.
That was like a really confusing sentence with lots of challenges. Okay. Yes, sorry. What challenges are we experiencing right now? I think that the biggest challenge that we're experiencing is division created through fear, or sometimes on purpose, or sometimes through media or propaganda. And I think that if we were to be able to talk to each other as efficiently as we take offense to each other, we would have a lot better society to live in.
That's it?
It's supposed to be like a game of tennis, remember? I say something, you say something, he says something. It's not like a monologue town. This is amazing excellence. This is not like, Toastmasters or something. Or is it? Am I in the wrong meeting? What time is it?
I was like a 20-second blurb, so I was a little bit. But I was just in another networking meeting earlier today, and it was like the first time that people in the United States were able to meet together, and there was like 12 people having a dinner / roundtable meeting for one of the kind of the organizational meetings that they normally have for the first time in like a year and a half or something like that. And man, the people were just so happy to be in the same room at the same table talking to each other. They were just so excited about being with other people for the first time in a while. I could definitely see how much energy and excitement and understanding that we have when we connect with each other. It's almost unusual at this point to have that. And I think, we definitely have had this circumstance for a while. And I think most people, being very familiar with being online now, may forget about how much working together and being together and seeing each other and all the interaction, all the benefits that you get from interacting one-on-one and in person is. And I think that's kind of one of the things that we definitely need to be aware of, is that like if you wait long enough, you may forget what you've lost.
See, it's interesting because the propaganda that we're presented with or propaganda that we've been presented with for many, many years, maybe even hundreds, is really insidious. They hide things under trite articles. They make things seem like one thing and not another. You know, you read an article that's questioning the whistleblowers of this and that, and then at the bottom in the fine print it says sponsored by da 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 the company that's being accused of wrongdoing. You know what I mean? So it's just there's like a constant barrage of information that's being put into our brains. And it's not information of our choice. It's not something that we went out and found and wanted to read. It's not a book that I went and bought and I wanted to read it. This is information that's just like fed into our, like, the people who are watching the television, listening to the radio, reading the newspaper, even magazines, it's just constant input. And then distraction, kittens and puppies with mange and puppies with really bad mange. There's just so many layers of distractions. And then in between the distractions, you get these little programming messages. Oh, this is the right thing to do. I even saw a joke, like a website that had like funny things. And then there were 2 or 3 propaganda pieces right mixed in with the jokes. Of course, this is like this. Of course, these people are crazy. You know,
I feel that the a root cause of this situation today lies in passivity. And I actually don't quite remember if you touched upon that on Monday in the teaser, but we are being forced, the circumstances seem to force us to be even more passive, right? Isolated, no contact unless it's through, this media that we're utilizing right now as well, which forces you to be passive in a certain way. And that's actually something interesting in itself. Are we using these ways of communication in order to stimulate, activity and to go out and to live life to the fullest, or are we falling into the pattern of utilizing, the technology, the so-called advancements, in order to dull us down even more and to become more passive and to, sit in front of the screen for even more time, and therefore also falling into a pattern which really seems to fall in the hand of those who believe they can control things as they are. So I have been observing that the the notion of or maybe the habit of being passive and of being entertained, of being of being kept like a, the zombified in a way, being also controlled in a way by habits that are not really, they're not really enhancing your life, your livity, as people in Jamaica would say, as Rastas would say. It's not on the side of life of livity, it's on the other
liberty.
side. And then the question is, are you passively going along with what is being set up for you? Are you lying down in the bed and falling asleep, in the prepared bed, that's made up for you to fall asleep and to just, do what you're supposed to do? Are you adhering, are you going along with the systems that are being set up for you to, just sit in your chair and be entertained by the screen and be, there's, this insurance is taking care of that, and then there's this system and this office is going to take care of that, and you don't have to do anything much. You just have to fall into your prepared, play your role that is being set up for you, that's the script that's being written for you. And if you just talk, if you just say what's being written in that script, then you're going to be okay, and it won't be like a too
But
edgy ride, and that's
we
it.
have a lot of preparation for that, Dennis. We have all these years of schooling where every single year we were taught how to obediently follow rules, not question the presented narrative, not ask
You're
draw
breaking up.
on
Sorry,
the
you're breaking up
lines
there.
and
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, I see it that way. It is.
all that
We're
needs
being, we have been huh, domesticated in a way, and we have been, they call it, we have been schooled into that. And so those are habits. This is like a posture, right, that we see all over the place. and that's the right thing to do, that's the proper thing to do, and if you do it like this, then the ride won't be too edgy, and you can look forward to your pension, and you have a predetermined life plan basically. But whoa,
You can just have a pension right now, even if you're 20.
if you don't play along with that, then you're gonna be what? You're gonna be an outcast, and and it's gonna be dangerous out there, right? And that's not what one does, and that's not politically correct. And that's not the pattern. That's not what you're supposed to do. And what happens then? And the thing is, if you are looking for solutions to that, to the situations that we're facing, I feel one of the base things is to overcome this passivity and to overcome the notion, and that's an inside job, right? Or it starts on the inside. If you don't overcome that passivity on the inside, then how are you going to actively engage in your life and determine the life and be the master of yourself, not of anybody else, but your own master, and determine your journey, and therefore really become all that you can be, and free yourself from those shackles, from that passivity.
Something that Agnieszka said there in regard to, like the control of the narrative, and how people discuss things and what people talk about has been really altered. And it's certainly nowadays, with everybody basically being steered towards, this is an emergency and you got to do these things because this is what's going on, and everybody's got to.
If you don't do A, then you're an idiot or a jerk or a denier or a bad guy.
But the thing is it's almost like your vision. If your vision was like completely, you've got total vision around you, but it just keeps shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And now you're like in a little bit of a tunnel vision. And, when it comes to being creative and stuff like that, if you're like living in a world where you're just basically looking through a tube, you don't really see all the things and all the inputs and all the stuff that are out there to be creative with. You can be creative, but you've only got like 3 things to look at to be creative about. And that's kind of, I think, one of the things that we really need to be cognizant of is that, if we let other people control the narrative and all we talk about all day long is a particular group of things, we really do lose the opportunity to really even understand what may be different. Like if you look at the way that marriage was viewed, say, 75 or 100 years ago, and what the responsibilities of each individual person was in that regard, what the role of the man was, what the role of the woman was, what was the responsibilities that they were looking forward to as far as children and so forth. And then you look at it today, and then you look at what would be the dialogue back then versus what the dialogue today is. And it's like today, if you think about marriage, I bet you there's probably 10 things that people could say right off the top of their head, and they're negative.
Yeah, totally.
And then if you would look at your life right now, you said being creative, and the importance of creativity, and that the creativity is being limited and in a tunnel vision. So if you would look at your life right now, and do you perceive creation itself expressing itself through you, or have you limited creation's expression the way you live your life? So are you opening yourself, and are you doing everything within your abilities to let creation flow through you, to let that which is expressed through you, or are you clogging up the filter? Are you putting blocks in the pipe, and the water can't really flow freely? Are you putting rocks in the stone and kind of damming up the flow of the river? So the habits that you have, the things, the mindset that you have, is that putting stones and bricks in the water flow, or is that something that removes and that opens up and that lets the flow run through freely?
Can't ask a question and then just keep talking. There's just not right. There's something seriously wrong about that.
It's the stuffy sinuses. It's affecting us
Yeah, it's affecting my ears.
like
Um,
time constraints.
we have a comment actually. The comment says, exactly, we have been groomed since birth to fall in line like cattle for the harvest. We,
Domesticated. We have been domesticated since
yes.
the beginning. That's
Thank
what
you,
it is.
Colleen. Uh,
Thanks,
Den,
Chloe.
Dennis asked the question, Agnieszka, in regard to creativity. Are you allowing yourself to be maximum creative when it comes to the way you're going about living your life?
I think I'm getting better at it every year. And I think that my life kind of shows that I'm getting better at it every year. But I don't think I'm playing my full size. Like I think that, I'm still pretending that I am smaller than I am.
mm. Rodin is bringing an interesting aspect, which is others' expectations of us can block our natural flow or creativity as well. Yeah, I feel so too. So it's others' influences, but then also those others' views and perspectives can only influence us if we let them, if we let ourselves be influenced by it. And then of course, so there's a degree of how would you say, of again responsibility, right? So do we let those words or those perspectives um, influence? Do we let them influence us, or are we able to actually perceive them and take them as what they are, but we don't integrate them? So that's a question also of being able to detach from the views, from the perspectives, and from the opinions of others, and also of discerning the quality, right? So is that, where does your opinion, where does this perspective come from? Does it come from a place of true critique, which always has to have the positive and the negative, so for it to be balanced and not to be just um, an insult or something emotional thrown out, or where's the quality of that? Because isn't there like a saying that says that opinions are around like just
Oh,
like sand on the beach, and if
oh,
we
I
try
heard
to
that they
live
were
up
like
to,
assholes.
sorry, say it again.
No, never mind. Go on.
If we try to live our lives, if we try to live up our life upon to the opinions of other people, then we will first of all never be able to satisfy all those people around us, and most of all we're not even able to realize ourselves, because yeah, that's just gonna be an impossible thing. And Colleen
Well,
is
I
saying,
think, go ahead.
she's saying, yeah, I would agree, Rodin, that we take on others' expectations and opinions of ourselves, which blocks our flow. And the upbringing, like we're really coined by the upbringing as well, right? By the surrounding, our childhood, but like is certainly influencing there. So that's a whole different side of it, to go back and to realize how we have been influenced, and by whom, by our parents, by our teachers, by society, by the expectations, that are set up in the same system, and the dependency that we are taught to depend upon, right? That we depend on structures, on centralized systems, to get our feedback, our positive feedback, and we rarely get an honest, straightforward opinion that is really being uttered with our best interest. And it sometimes, it can feel hurtful, it can be harsh, but you feel it, you can feel the intention, if somebody gives you counsel, and if somebody just shares his perspectives on what you're doing, and if it doesn't come from a place where he or she wants to influence you to do what they think is best for your life, but if it is like a feedback that comes from the heart, and that comes with a clean intention, that's a difference, I would feel.
Well, I think I would say that there's because we are always kind of practicing being reactive to what's going on, and we've kind of gotten into a really bad habit of reacting and letting the narrative be generated outside of our world, and to some degree it just keeps getting worse because we're allowing that to happen, and because we're being passive. And so trying to go the other way, to be proactive, and essentially start centering our life around the things that we want, that's very difficult to do. And I know when it comes to doing things proactively, I mean, just like the topics that we do for this show, if we thought about it for a couple months and we put together a big plan, we could definitely probably have a much more cognitive and interesting solution to what we're doing here. But we're kind of in that thing where, that's an extra lot of work, and so we just we're doing what we're doing, which is to some degree we're doing a little bit of proactiveness, but we're still relying on a lot of what's actually happening today, what's happening this week kind of stuff.
I don't
And we
know.
are allowing the narrative to kind of go in that particular direction. But that's kind of the thing is if we're going to change,
Who's
if
this
we're
we
going
you're
to,
talking about, though?
me,
Like,
you, and Dennis.
we're doing a lot for the revolution, I think. I
Well,
don't
I'm
think
just
we're
saying,
passively sitting there. We're creating a new world actively in 100 different ways.
well, I think there's a lot of extra. We're doing a very poor job of it, I would say, because we've got a lot of potential, and we could be doing it a lot better. But the only way we're going to do that is by actually challenging ourselves and saying, okay, how could we do this better? How could we be more proactive? What could we do that really kind of serves the best interest of us? What are the things that we really enjoy doing? All these kind of things can relate to kind of re-expanding out our level of vision about what it is that we see and what is it that influences us. And if we don't do that, if we don't establish the practices, then we still fall into the same we still fall into the same traps, because those traps are essentially stuck in our subconscious to some degree. And if we don't break out of those automatic habits that our subconscious mind is kind of put in place, those subconscious routines, then we will always kind of reset back to the programming.
So the homegrown solution to that is seeing or perceiving the home as this right here. Each individual of us right now as we're sitting here, because if we do our work and the place that we find ourselves in, if we do our own work, if we clean our own home and find ourselves in a good place, then the quality and the output of what we're giving, whether it is planned, meticulously ahead, or whether it's being done completely spontaneously, is going to be great. So that is where I see the connection to the show today. Homegrown solutions for a better world. So homegrown can mean finding solution for myself right here and right now. And what are those solutions, that I can find for myself right now? What is going to make me feel better? It's going to make me think clearer. It's, all those things that we determine for ourselves. And once we set up our home for ourselves, then we can come together as we're doing right now, and even extending out to the audience that is there. So you're also part of the home that we're creating right now in this moment. And so we are co-creating this moment, and the quality and the output of this moment of what we can really come up with today, and of the change, of the help, of the solutions that we can manifest right here and right now, is depending on where each one of us individually is in his and her life right now, and how we can put this together, and what we can cook up, the food that we can cook up with the ingredients that each one of us is bringing to the place right now. And in alignment with seeing the problems, and recognizing the source of the problems that we have been hinting upon. I would say that besides being passive and being dependent on structures and mindsets that have been installed and have been set up, for us to fall into, I would say that the source is then maybe we can name it a certain loss of humanity, or at least a loss of the um,
The
of the
spice
understanding what
of
humanity
life.
can be, of that which we can be. So I'm not saying that we're not humans, but I can see that many of us are not grasping the full potential of what it can be to realize ourselves as true human beings. And I feel that this is really the source, and the outcome is, the troubles that we're facing individually and collectively right now. And I see right now Colleen is saying, oh, about, there was comments raining in today. Had this conversation earlier. It starts early, with the need to please our parents, and we restrict ourselves to fit into their ideas. Yes, the influence, their influence in our childhood, of course, is really strong. And Rodin answered, yeah, please our parents, then transitions to other authority figures such as teachers, leaders, bosses, etc. Colleen is answering, yup. And Rodin says again, so we need to learn to be accountable for our own actions, thoughts, conscious and subconscious, is a question. And Colleen answers, totally. Unfortunately, we can't change the past or other people. We can only truly change and control ourselves. And that's really, what I feel as well. So, and I agree totally, Mike, with what you said, that certainly, the preparation could be better for the shows, and we could come up, with a different framework, and with an even more raised excellence. And that's certainly what we shall hold ourselves accountable as well. And then also, this is an individual job for each one of us. And then when we come together, it can manifest like that, whether prepared or not. But certainly I would think also that preparation is certainly helpful. But it's still, we could prepare all we want, but then if we are not in a good place, and if we don't have anything much to share, then still the best preparation will not make up for that.
Well, I was using that as an example, but I'm just saying that, the resources that we have, with autonomy, for example, and all the people that are involved in autonomy, we could make this show, incredibly more interesting. And of course, we need that interaction. And to some degree, we are kind of creating that circumstance as we go, but it's a slow process because that's not part of the programming, so everybody's got to kind of come out of their shell little by little. And we're starting to see that kind of stuff, but you can see that that's kind of one of the things that we're battling against when it comes to, getting people to express themselves, getting people to tell us about what they're good at, getting us to,
I
or
think a lot
being
of
able
people are suffering from lack of volunteer work.
Yeah. And I heard this earlier today, and it was in regard to like communicating between adults versus communicating from like a parent to a child. And the statement was that children are constrained to believe what their parents tell them, whereas adults can question. They're in a position that they say, what is that? That don't mean anything. That doesn't make any sense. But if we are kind of in our society, we're being, like a forever adolescence, where essentially we're being treated like children and we're acting like children. We're like, yes, mother, yes, father. We'll just take it all in and suck it up. And to a large degree, we've been trained so well at that it's hard to see how much is out there for us to, actually explore.
This, however, is only possible if you look at it from the direction of the mind, or from a perspective of the mind. So if one identifies with mind only, then the beliefs, okay, there's beliefs installed, and we believe what we're being told, and we go on. If we don't overcome that, then that's what it's going to be. But I have experienced, and I've seen, and I've known children, and actually there's quite a few, that can go beyond the belief. So if one recognizes that there is a connection that each one of us has right here and right now, and we're able to maintain, to find, and to develop that connection, or to become more aware of that connection, which is there always, and it goes beyond the mind. So you might have somebody who has been brainwashed in beliefs and opinions and this and that, but who is still able to maintain that connection and to, I don't know, download and to have a knowing that it goes beyond the brain knowing that we are being taught is so important. So then we are able to actually leave those things aside, and there's plenty examples of people that have been able to do that,
But
and even children as well. So I don't think it's
well,
only
it's a
the mind thing.
difficult thing. It's a difficult thing for a child because I mean, I was like that and I was like, no, that's not true. And the teacher would be like, well, yeah, it is true. Look, it's written in the book. And I'd be like, well, I don't think this doesn't sound right, you know, and then I'd have to do my own research or whatever. But I'd never been the kind of like, yes person. Like they always had to explain to me why. Like we're going out because we're doing the dishes because, you know what I mean? So
Which is a mind thing, right? Okay, explain logically, and that's important, of course, and that has its place. So I would never deny that, because the mind is still part of our being as well, and an important one for sure. um, However, there's something, you can do something, you can be told, we're gonna do this or do that, and without anybody explaining, you can feel within yourself if that is the right thing to do, or if that is, the thing you should be doing right here and right now, without even somebody explaining. And there's we talked about intuition, and we talked about different levels of being, and the possibility is there in every moment to connect to that and to get this feedback. But then, of course, as we laid out, we have been trained, and it has been overshadowed, but by people, opinions, and influences that we have been suffering from, if I say that.
you know, I've been experiencing that all weekend. I've had a really rough weekend where it comes to like hormonal, emotional, or whatever. And I've had challenges upon challenges, and then their little voice inside my head that keeps saying, well, what if everything is okay? What if everything is perfect? What if you feel that everything is fucked up, but everything is oh no, I said that word. We're gonna get banned from YouTube. Um, but everything is actually great, and then keeps showing me evidence why how everything is not. You know, there was nothing wrong. I was just feeling emotional about certain whatever triggered throughout the weekend, and I made it. I likened it to a video game. You know how in a video game you go to the next level and everything is cool at the beginning, and then as you come to the end of the level, things are getting more and more difficult, and you're presented with like one of the issues that I was triggered or potential trigger for me was I could not find my phone. One day I couldn't find my phone. It was nowhere. We searched everywhere. It was nowhere. We went to the store. We came back. We searched again. It was nowhere. Finally, somebody found it in the freezer. Right? Two opportunities to get upset about my phone being missing from my room. I just had it in my hand and then it was gone. Nobody came by. Nobody could have stolen it. It was just gone. You know what I mean? And what an opportunity to go, oh, did my roommate take like no, you know, oh my, oh, well, what about this? And you did this, you put it somewhere. Yeah, my boyfriend put it somewhere. He put it in the freezer accidentally because he was putting away the chocolates and he had my phone in his hand for whatever reason and put it in there. But that's not the point. The point, it doesn't matter. The point is I didn't get upset and I didn't freak out. And when I got my phone, I was able to be happy and spend the rest of the evening happy. But what if I had taken the opportunity to go, oh my God, my phone is missing. I'm going to freak out. It's a new phone. I lost it. I'll never see it again. Oh my gosh, what about the information on my phone? Oh my gosh, what if somebody finds it? Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Right? I could have spent an hour doing that, and then I would have had the whole evening of like kind of feeling, right? But that day I didn't take the bait. Another day I took the bait, but that day I didn't. And so I'm proud of that.
So you
3 days of taking the bait 2 times a day and finally no more.
so you became actively engaged in determining the reality that you're living in that moment. There's another comment, a few actually. Hold on. Colleen answers, totally. Unfortunately, we can't change the past or other people. We can only truly change and control our own self. And she continues, I think it was Sadhguru who said we look to others for validation, approval, and to tell us who we should be. But it's like looking into a broken mirror, seeing a broken image and try to change ourselves to fit in that image. He said it more eloquently though, but I think that was still put very well.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's, if we look out in the world and we take note of how much work there is out there, like people need to be educated, garbage needs to be cleaned up, the oceans are polluted, the air is polluted, the food is polluted. There's like everything needs work, and yet there's no work. I mean, the work that's going on is actually destroying the planet, rather than fixing the things that are actually the problems. And I think it's the same on the inside too. We're doing a lot of work, but are we actually solving the problems, or are we just like creating more problems, or just ruminating on the problems that we think we have, but those are really just illusions, in a lot of cases. I think we do need to really think about what we've identified ourselves with, in regard to our own identity.
Sometimes we don't even talk about the problems. We just rehash the actual problem instead of talking about solutions or collaborations or ways to move from where we are to where we want to be, even like a small amount. People often would rather explain what is rather than talk about what they desire to be.
Or what has
Well,
happened.
well, and
I think in a lot of cases, people are living in the past, or I think it is. It's living in
Well,
the
I mean,
past.
if you observe what is, you have to be living in the past because you're a creator, you're a creative being. And so if you're observing what you desire, then you step towards what you're like, just like you're driving. If you're looking to the right, you're gonna pull to the right. And if you're looking to the left, you're gonna pull to the left. If you're constantly focusing on what is wrong with the world or what is, or what you're not agreeing with, or you're not in alignment with, then your eyes are constantly and your car is constantly moving in that direction.
what would be an indicator of the inner work, Mike, that you refer to being actually successful?
Well, I think, I certainly feel like, that feeling of empowerment, that feeling of like, I have the willpower to change and do whatever I want. Like I think when people are feeling like they're trapped by their own behavior, or they are actually displaying that they're trapped by their own behavior, that kind of comes out in everything that, like the words that they're saying and also the actions that they're taking. So I think if people are saying, I can take care of this. Yeah, this is what we're going to do. This, you hear the words saying, I am in charge. I have responsibilities. I'm going to take those responsibilities and I'm going to go this direction. And then they demonstrate that, like if you've got situation in which there's things going on and you're pointing the finger and saying, it's the government, it's this, it's that, it's I can't do this because of that. Instead of saying, this is what we're going to do today. I think it's going to be fun, blah, 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 and I think it is relatively simple, but that's the difference between like the scarcity mindset and the abundance mindset. And I do feel like the abundance mindset is the reality. The abundance is the reality. And it's just the fact that we have been fooled into believing the illusion that we're in this scarcity thing. And that's what the narrative is always telling us. They're always saying there's not enough. There's not enough. We got to fight with each other because there's not enough.
I feel an indicator, continuing to use the picture of the mirror, the indicator of the inner job coming to bearing fruits and being done well would be a whole mirror, a perfectly fine unbroken mirror on the wall, a new mirror, which I picture, in the physical so-called reality that we live in, as the end of war, of poverty, of trauma, of violence. If I see that manifested in the outside world, then I know that's the inside job has been done well. And then if the outside mirrors the inside, then that would be a strong indicator for me. to see that those things cease, or at least, are greatly diminished. And then turning it around, it does seem to indicate that there's quite some work to be done on the inside as we are facing all those things. So the the solutions that we can come up with for that are, and I'm being reminded of a quote by Bill Mollison, the one of the founders of permaculture, who said, and I'm just paraphrasing here, that the solutions to increasingly complex problems that we're facing as humanity are surprisingly simple. And permaculture for me is highlighting that in so many ways. Just the example of building houses with recyclable materials, and facilitating natural processes that are there already today, that we have seemingly not been able to learn to see and to mimic, or to utilize to our abundance. And that is tapping into the abundance mindset that you said. The abundance itself is there already. It is integral part of nature, but then we limit ourselves, and that's limiting again the all we can be to this tiny pipe, the picture that you gave earlier. And that's why we cannot see, we cannot perceive, and we're not living in that abundance, or just very few of us seem to be able to tap into that abundance. And yet the solutions are so simple. It does mean, speaking from a permaculture perspective, oh, where does the sun rise, what kind of energy is there, wind, okay, is there, what kind of soil is there, what kind of plants are there, like how do these plants work together with those animals, and what kind of role can I play, and how can I put these things together in a way that they can actually do what they do best, and that they fit together, fight one against the other, and the strongest survives. But it's a game, like capoeira, it's playing together. Oh, one is weaker, one is stronger, doesn't matter, we all play to the same rhythm, and we can all find our place. Our instrument can be part of a huge orchestra, but it can add to the harmony of it all. It can blend into harmony, and it can perform at its peak at the same time. And then to seeing the picture, and to seeing how everything fits nicely and fits perfectly in the picture, that is really, it's grace. It's being able to perceive, which is what you explained, Agnieszka, that things as they are already in its place, so they are in order. The fact that we don't understand, we don't overstand the order of things, also means that we have not been able to tap into that knowing that goes beyond just the mind, the educated, the school kind of knowledge that we're getting. But we're still lacking a certain kind of wisdom, a wisdom that has been around for centuries, for millennia, and that has been taken from us, and that has been also what has been keeping the lid on the pot. Is that how you say it? And I feel that now times are changing, and there's a lot of people who are finding access to things long forgotten, or to things that they have not even dared tapping into, or things that they have not been aware of within their potential. And there's also other people, and quite a lot, who seem to stick their heads even further down in the sand. But as things are changing, um, there's this growing awareness of the potential that we are. And then it is truly exciting, because it is it is perceiving that, oh wow, there's this broken mirror on the wall, but there's a new one right there. All we have to do is take down the broken one and put the new one up, and then the thing is going to look mighty different than before.
We when we were talking about this topic, we were talking about homeschooling and education and so forth, and I said, oh, we got Amy Hoffman is going to be doing a presentation on Tuesday evening. I went to that webinar. The webinar's title was Reimagining Education, and she was talking about what is the potential when it comes to teaching children. It was really just like, stop hindering them from being curious, stop discouraging them from being creative, give them stuff that gives them the space to, be very creative about whatever it is that they're interested in, and then maybe tie it back to the things that are, a necessity that supposedly we all need to do, like pay our bills and keep a roof over our head and all that kind of stuff. But I think I was really inspired listening to her talk about how she is changing the way, and I feel like a lot of it is definitely inspired by, you know, guys like John Taylor Gatto, of course. But you know, the idea is just to let people understand what they're interested in and be proud of the skills and the abilities and the interests and the things that they're curious about, and just let them build on those, and you know, let them build that out in their own particular way. I think it's a pretty exciting time, if you know, because when you hear people talk about those things, and it's just like, wow, that is exciting. You know, I can't wait. And I think when I was listening to her describe it for children, I was thinking, oh man, this is the same thing for the workforce. People would love this in, you know, if they could do this in a job, if they could do this for a business, this would be this would be great. And it's nothing that's that complicated. It's really just allowing people to be themselves and being okay with letting them do it their way.
What I love about Amy's approach is that and that fits with something we touched upon earlier, that she's using this, the modern media, internet, screens, to inspire children to actually come off it and to go knock on the neighbor's door and to go connect, to a human being in real life. And that is something really beautiful, and I find that maybe that is one of the highest uses of the technology that we have, to connect, to inspire, to give an impulse, but then to encourage, to get out and to take it into real life, not into the,
Yeah.
online thing. So and that's a really high value, and I feel that is a fantastic homegrown solutions, and I'm really inspired by that as well, because I have been, myself, I commented on that, as a capoeira trainer, as a coach as well, I have been heavily restricted from doing what I love to do by these current circumstances, and I've lost many students, or they're kind of like on the back burner for quite some time now, because they don't come out again, they don't train, they don't dare to leave their homes. We're under lockdown still, and so I have been really I'm hesitant to do this online thing that everybody's jumping on, because I feel that I can only transfer 5% of what I usually do in a class. And even though, I teach movements, and we can do some music, and we can do a bunch of stuff even online, and it's still better to see them that way and to connect to the children, to the students that way, than nothing at all. But yet,
Yeah.
the great majority of what is transmitted, of what's transferred, and what is also being perceived, is lost in this online stuff. And I just wish and I hope that, parents and people recognize that, the possibilities, of course, of the technology as we are doing right now, but also recognize its limitations. And that doesn't mean, that you have to burn it, and this is not good at all, but it means use it, but use it appropriately, and use it to for real solutions, and use it to become active and to integrate it into the real you that you are, and to get inspired, but then to take this inspiration and to manifest something within, in your life through that, but don't get stuck on it, as many of us do today too. That's something I perceive. You're getting stuck to
But
more and more hours each day in front of the screen, and then we are being pulled into passivity.
We love you,
you know?
Dennis, so much.
you know what? I think even in a place like Acapulco, you still have the situation where people are like living in paradise, but they're stuck like this.
Yeah.
They're still in this hell like this.
Who said this? Who gave this quote? Is this a Bible thing? Like they live in paradise yet they don't know?
I don't know.
I'm gonna have
Who
to
said that?
research that. That's the question. The price question is like, who said that? But I've heard it a bunch of times, but I can't remember who said it, or who put
What
out this
about
notion.
paved over paradise to put up a parking lot? I know where that's from.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
some of
so
the
there's a lot of
sorry.
work out there to be done, but it is one of those things. And by the way, in regard to what you were saying earlier, Dennis, about what Amy was saying about children is, yeah, they want to put the screen, they want to put the screen down, they want to jump around, they want to dance, they want to get outside, they want to scream and yell. There is nothing natural about looking at a screen, and kids know it.
Yeah.
Kids know there's like it's an imagination killer, I think, and we definitely need to be very cognizant of that, very careful with the amount of times that we allow ourselves to be sticking in front of a thing. I don't know about the vision thing either. I think it does screw with your vision watching these screens for so long and watching the little characters and stuff.
Well, if you have the brightness up, definitely. I find if I turn the brightness all the way down and turn everything to sepia, it doesn't seem to bother my eyes at all.
Yeah.
There's a homegrown solution for you. Learn to dream again. Who does that as an adult? Who spends time purposefully sitting down or standing or walking somewhere and dream about the life that you would want to live, about the things that you want to see manifest, and just that's something we could learn from children, the ones that are not stuck in front of the screen all day yet. And that's certainly something I would like to encourage my children, other children that I work with, for also to don't forget and don't ever stop dreaming, because this is part of how we create the reality that we're living in, the perceived reality. It's dreaming it into place, and then our thoughts heavily influence that. Is it like low, heavy, dense thoughts, or if it's something, lightning, enlightening, uplifting, that we're also dreaming into being. And another homegrown solution that you hinted at homeschooling, and of course the place where I'm residing at this time. This is not actually, it has been a word since last year, but um, it's not the definition that we actually know is homeschooling, which is not allowed right here by government. So government will come and take away children if you try to pull them out of school, because that's illegal. And yet homeschooling is a thing right now, but homeschooling is defined as you not being allowed to go to the official school because of the whole situation. So you have to be at home, and then you're getting video conferences, and you have to sit in front of a screen, with your teacher, and that's actually the definition of homeschooling right here and right now. But sorry, Mike, I was cutting you off there.
No, I was just agreeing, but I was saying that it's an indicator when the government is forcing you to do it. That's probably something that you should probably not be doing.
Yes, yeah, and
And
that requires some
anybody's trying to
creativity
force
here.
you to do something,
Uh,
it's probably something you shouldn't be doing.
Coercion, right? So here, so one of the things that I've been perceiving, and that also led me to, to kind of steer today's topic along the way of homegrown solutions for a better world, is that especially in the last few weeks, actually, there has been a new, a kind of a little wave with a renewed and reinforced measurements of people who maybe before, they were like scratching their head and saying, but they still went along, and they said, no, no way. So, we have mandatory tests for school now, and schools are locked down anyway. Um, but this whole testing thing is being rolled out. So now there's parents who for themselves, they kind of went along with the beat, with the music, or with the noise, but who can see now because they're parents, and because they see how heavily their children are actually impacted by these things, that they're drawing the line right now. And one of the outcomes was, which is really beautiful, is that actually there have been groups springing up, at least like in my environment, of people who self-organize, and who kind of seem to detach themselves from the system that obviously is failing them, is failing the education of their children, is failing to look for the well-being of their children, and we're getting together and meeting on uh, in desolate places, in playgrounds, illegally coming together, um, having fantastic conversations and discussions, who come up with apps and organizing and taking care of children. Oh, I can take so and so many today, and oh, I can take them tomorrow, and we're gonna be doing some capoeira. Okay, I can take them tomorrow. We can do some mass, and so that's a whole. That's like a new vision, I feel, for many people here who have not been exposed to the possibility of homeschooling, or there's unschooling, which is a different direction again. But it is perceiving that there are possibilities that might be actually even better or less harmful to children than the official school system. And that's a beautiful development that I've been observing, um, in the last few weeks and also months, that people actually come out of their passivity expecting that their children are being taken care of by the system, by a school or by a private school that you pay for, and then you get your money's worth and you don't have to worry about who's teaching what to your child. But oh no, actually, let's take care of them, and let's self-organize, and let's see what's out there and how we can actually help our children become all that they can be.
You know, I once heard this American woman who was living in Canada. Her child came home. She was 6 years old, and the teacher was asking for the mother's help to teach the child to read because she still couldn't read at 6. And the woman she was aghast. She was offended. She was upset. She was questioning how did the school not teach her child to read in 1 year, and what was her responsibility in doing it, and why would she have to put any effort into it when they're not doing their job. And my thought was like, wow, your child did not read by the time she went to school. That's kind of what I was saying. I was like, wow, well, what were you doing with your child when she was a bit like, why didn't you teach her how to read? Like, what? But they're expecting the state to do everything for them.
Well, I think when it comes to homeschooling or unschooling or any of those kind of things, I think those are one of those areas where people have like so limited expectations of like what children are supposed to be doing and what age they're supposed to be doing it at. They're supposed to be doing this at 5 and this at 6 and this at 7. And, I think with unschoolers, it's pretty much up to the kids to figure out what it is that they need. And sometimes there's kids that don't read until they're 10 or 12 years old. And there's other kids that are reading at like 3 or 4, and that both of those are okay. And so how did we get to the point that reading is a particular thing? It really is like about what they need.
Yeah. And what they're interested in and what their future holds. But it is easier to learn to read and write when you're 5 or 4 than when you're 10.
I don't know. I think it all depends on what you want.
So continuing with other home growing solutions, you're hinting at books, at reading. Get some great books, get your children to read yourself, use the time that we have available right now at home is an extra time, and get off the screen and actually read some books and acquire some knowledge. That is something that has been lost for many of us as well. The reading time has gone way down, our attention span has shortened. Reading books actually is a great way of of adding to your attention span, to your ability to concentrate, to hold complex thoughts, to express opinions, to get opinions and perspectives of different people who express them through words in books, and then ponder upon them, discuss them. It doesn't mean that you have to agree with them, but if you have a bunch of different opinions that come in through books, you internalize them differently than as if you would read them on a screen or just hear them in a small talk. And then homegrown to me also means growing at home. So grow something at home. That to me has been therapeutic, and many people report about that. If you feel like things slipping out of your hands and you're getting depressed and everything is dark and seems to look bad, like make it a point, like 1 week, half an hour, hands in the dirt every day. And if you don't have a garden, you get like a flower spot for your window, and there's hardly an excuse not to deal with that. And we did even some shows on foraging and going in the forest, and like plant a tree every day. Give yourself a little challenge, and that is a solution right there, because if you're aware of how you feel and what is happening when you deal with plants, when you're around nature, then that will carry a long way. There's this what is the new trend, was it in Japan that it was coined, the forest bathing, or I'm not even sure what's it called. It's intentionally going into the forest and walking to the forest, so people on a larger scale are becoming aware of the effects that it has, and there's like scientific research being done on what it does to your body if you just walk through the forest. So grow something for yourself at your yard. That's a solution on the small scale, because it can uplift yourself, put you in a different emotional place. And if you do it on a larger scale, then imagine that you could grow stuff at home. You could supplement yourself with food You could even, trade. You could supplement other people's diet as well with homegrown food. That's something really valuable. You could even grow inside, indoors. There's so many options for that. And then find yourself into places that have been grown into forest, into the wood, and surround yourself with nature. All of these are, simple solutions again. But if you keep on employing the simple things, and if you increase the amount of the simple solutions in your daily life, that surely will have a lasting impact on the way you feel, the way you perceive reality, and therefore also the way how you forge your future, and how you forge your path towards freedom, which I would again reinstall is really the path that we all on. And what else is there? Homegrown solutions. Sing. When was the last time you sing a song? And you have children, go sit down with them and sing, or play your favorite music and play it loud. Nobody will hear you. Just sing. Express yourself through singing. Something that we have been limited to do as well. See all those pictures of the students or playing the instruments like in little plastic tents, and like all kind of craziness, and having to wear mask and trying to play the flute with mask on, and not being allowed to sing, no music lessons in class. And that certainly has an impact. If you get together, or if you even just by yourself, and you express yourself through music, which is something that can carry you far, and that can carry you places. And I'm not only meaning places in the physical realms. And then again,
So then all the parents of these children, they're giving them music lessons at home, right? Because they've been ceased at the school, so now the home has to pick up the slack, right?
yeah, that is another
So
homegrown
music
solutions.
sensitivity and music lessons should be taught now at home because the government's no longer taking care of them.
Yeah, you know to play an instrument, you know how to sing a song, go teach it to somebody else, knock at the neighbor's door, and,
You don't
and
even
spread
need
that.
to do that. You could just like employ music sensitivity by exposing your child once a week to different kinds of music and talking about it and writing notes, and you know what I mean? Like there's so many simple ways of bringing music and creativity into your life.
At large, culture and arts is what has been heavily reduced, or even taken away, fully from many of us. And to bring that back, and to find ways how we can integrate that in our lives, even with the limitations that we have right now, is certainly highly valuable. And culture and arts people are, that's the first thing that's cut, in any project, for example. That's the first budget line that get cut off, or that get neglected. But those things, what would your life be without culture, without art, without expressing yourself through dance, through music, through the drama, the shows that we have, the wow, what is life? It is what it is right now. It's heavily limited, and you see how it affects people, how the suicide numbers go up, how depression is going up. So we can see the effects. And so we have to find creative ways of keeping a connection, of being inspired, of inspiring others in that sense. And in a way, we can see the current limitations as an inspiration of what kind of ways can we find right here and right now to keep culture and art and music and dance alive, even with those limitations. And then it becomes like, oh, that's actually interesting. Okay, I'm not allowed to meet with people. I can do A, B, C. Oh, I'm not allowed to leave my house. I'm not allowed to go to the cinema. I'm not allowed to go and see a music show. What can we do? And it's really funny, like what people come up with, in order to keep, I don't know, a music show, or in order to make music, and they meet, and it's like funny stuff that people come up with, and it's ingenious, really. Oh, we're not allowed to do A, but if I don't know, if I add some drinks and a snack into my shop or into my cinema, I can actually open up, because I'm providing essential needs. And it's there's creative minds out there, and they're finding creative solutions. And yeah, it's again, that's the same thing like with the tires. You don't see the garbage in the old car tire, but you see a flower spot that you can make from it, or you can see a retaining wall, or you can see an airship that you can build from it, like a self-sustainable house. So the answer actually lies within the question, and the quality of the answer will be reflected by the quality of the question, and the solution is always part of the
That's
problem
good
as well.
because we
It's in the
couldn't answer.
you see, so you look at the tire, and that's a problem. But if you know to look at it from the right perspective, then you can see, oh wow, I can make actually income from transforming this tire into something else. And so I'm hinting at the fact that we can, if we look for solutions, we'll find them as well. We'll eventually
Well,
stumble across them.
Sadly, I have to stop you there because I do have to get going. We have the class here in a few minutes, so I'm going to have to go welcome the teacher and all of that stuff, and make sure that the coffee is good. I had to sneak out a couple
Sure.
times to temp the coffee, well, because
There,
we're having guests over.
there
We
has
didn't
been
even
one
know.
more education, one more comment, if I may
Quality
sneak that in.
control, Mike. Quality control.
Rodin says, education at a community level. Sometimes schools have been raising children more so than parents. Yeah, yeah, I've seen that as
Yeah,
well.
and what has that done for our society? What has abdicating your responsibilities as a parent and allowing some other institution to teach your children what's right and wrong? What has that done to you and your family, and your society, and your country, and the world?
I've seen and taught children actually that if it wasn't for the school that I would have gone through, things would have been much worse. So I've seen that side as well, and so I can feel Rodin where
In
he's coming
Jamaica,
from.
you mean?
For
Yeah, but
example,
but like, what perspective do you have when you don't have an alternative? You just have the school system, and then the alternative to the school system, which is doing the same thing.
I would argue that the reason that those children were messed up was because their parents went through the school system and got messed up to start with. They didn't have the ability to, come up with their own ideas or be creative or be free to, to start their businesses as they pleased, and whatever, whether it was government law or whatever. Children had to go to school because their parents were not able to provide them the education because they weren't free to do whatever creative endeavors they wanted to do.
that is a
Well,
point as well.
Or it's just a theory.
Rather than
Yeah, I myself, I think when I think of when I first had the perspective of unschooling, I thought, oh my God, this is crazy. And today I'm like, oh my God, how can we do it any other way? So there's quite a bit of room for the expansion of what's possible and what we expect versus what could be. There's a whole lot more.
and even within the most broken system, and we've been touching upon the school system, it is even in those systems it is possible, and even in the poorest of the poor countries, and where people until recently still students got beaten with rulers and that kind of stuff. But even there, and even in buildings and school buildings where there's gunshots and holes in the wall and where there's violence left, right, and center, you find a light in the dark, and you find people, loving people that are working within that system and still bringing out good, by the good that they are themselves, and they're able to integrate something that the system couldn't kill, and something that
Yeah.
the system couldn't damage. And I have seen that, many times. And then it is, again, it puts back self-responsibility. It puts back, the point of activity, being active, within whichever framework you're born into, and you have, you're experiencing. But there is, there is good, and there's loving people that want to make a difference, and that can make a difference. And life, to me, is proving that every day again. So, we can blame the system, we can blame this and that, and yeah, that's true. It's to see that we have to be aware of it, but we also have to see that we can make a choice, and we have a choice, and we can turn it around, and we can find solutions. Whether it's in the old car tire or in the broken school system, but it's up to us. So.
Okay, that's a good ending.
There
That's
we
a
go.
perfect ending. That's a perfect ending. Stop. No mass.
Si, senora.
I really, really, really have to go. I'm really sorry, but we're going to be back next Monday, and we're going to be showing you or telling you what we're going to be talking on Wednesday. And I hope it's going to be another wonderful topic. Tune in for our teaser on Monday at 1 p.m. Central, which is 7 or 8 p.m. No, it's not at 1 p.m. It's 1:50 p.m. Well, anyway, sometime in the afternoon, you'll have the teaser.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you
if
very
you're in
much.
on, you can participate in
Yes.
those things.
Thank you, Rodin. Thank you, Colleen, as
you're
well, for
part of it.
commenting. Quite a bunch of comments today.
Yes, thank you for all the comments.
Blessed love,
Wonderful.
everybody.